You know how people tend to support Robinhood in the in most of these movies where you're looking at this character who steals from the rich and gives to the poor. And what I call Robin Hoodism is something that is flawed. The concept is detrimental in that the only reason you support Robin Hood is because you're poor or you don't have that much. But imagine that you're the same you're the rich character who Robin Hood steals from. How does it feel to be attacked and robbed? It's not fun, is it? When you start thinking of Robin Hoodism, you realize that as long as you don't have much, you like the idea of someone taking from the rich and giving to the poor. But the minute you realize you become rich or you have something of value and somebody else wants it and they haven't worked for it, suddenly Robin Hoodism doesn't look very flowery, does it? It doesn't matter whether you don't have much. I don't think we have the right to take something that is not ours and we haven't worked for it. It's a wrong concept for us to be like, because they are rich we can take. No. Even if what they have acquired might not have been acquired in the right way. And that is the reason why most of us seem to have no problem with electing officials who have been found guilty of stealing or taking from government coffers. And yet when someone steals a chicken so that they can feed themselves and their children because they're hungry, you could stone them to death. I think that is where we go wrong. A crime is a crime regardless of who is committing it or for whatever purpose they seem to convince themselves that they're stealing for. Unless it is purely for survival, then we have a different story. I think we need to look at some of the things we do because, to be perfectly honest, sometimes people think that bending rules here and there is not that bad. It's like I'm not hurting anyone. But let's just look at things a little closely. Consider a police officer who on the road lets a drunk driver go, and the drunk driver causes an accident that kills X amount of people. Was he not responsible because he bent a few rules? Someone who knows that something that is maybe medicine that is supposed to go and help someone somewhere, and they decide to pull some ear strings there and do something that is not quite right, and in the process it ends up causing someone's life. Are you not partly responsible for the death of someone because you thought that you could just get away with pulling strings here and not doing what you're supposed to here and letting this go there? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and sometimes something that may appear to be very small might have some very major repercussions in the end, and you're just sitting there thinking, I didn't do much. I mean, it's not like but you did. What I'm saying is, don't judge a book by its cover. That saying has been said so many times that I think it has lost its meaning. But in so many instances, I've seen individuals who, looking at them, you would not guess who they are or what they do, simply based on appearances. I've seen very rich people who are dressed in almost tatters, as in people who had next to nothing, and they were dressed in some of the most, elegant looking clothes, and yet, you know, I've, I've seen beautiful women who were thieves, criminals who were stealing, kleptomaniacs, and you'd be like, what? I know people who are raised in very rich families who are criminals, thieves, and you're like, it's not the background that defines someone so much as maybe who they are, and we tend to think, they are rich, they come from, and they will be the ones to steal from you, and yet somebody else who's poor, who doesn't have anything, and they'd be like, this person would not even touch anything that doesn't belong to them. And we have developed this idea of just looking at someone and making conclusions that most of the times are not right. You look at people, he's a pastor, and yet he's the one he's a priest, and yet he's that criminal, that does some despicable things, and yet that individual who, who doesn't look like much might be the very same person who might save you from a very, serious situation, and you'll be like, what? Because I've experienced it personally with individuals who I wouldn't think they would do much, and yet they're the people who help you out in situations, and you're like, this would be the last person I would expect to just help me out of nowhere, but they do. So let's just learn to be a little bit more, what is the word? Objective,